the United States have reached a rough agreement on security. This development has come amid ongoing tariff negotiations between the two countries. Still go on. Now, Hyun has also added that the U.S. is reviewing a currency swap deal, which is a key demand from Seoul in the tariff talks, but has indicated that the progress on it remains slow. As per the latest development, Washington has agreed to lower tariffs on South Korean imports, but this comes in exchange for a $350 billion investment package. However, follow-up talks on the package's details have stalled, and Cho has noted that South Korea may require more time than Japan to finalize any trade agreement. Additionally, the two sides are discussing security measures, including an increase in South Korean defense spending as part of the broader package to reduce U.S. tariffs. Seoul hopes to announce the security agreement before the APEC summit in Gyeongju that is scheduled later this month, which U.S. President Donald Trump is also expected to attend. Meanwhile, President Trump has repeatedly urged South Korea to cover more of its military costs on its own. In response, South Korean President Lee Jae-myung has confirmed an 8.2% increase in next year's defense budget. Commenting on a possible meeting between President Trump and North Korean leader Kim Jong-un, as per some reports, Cho has not ruled it out. Earlier, President Lee has proposed that President Trump can consider talks with North Korean leader Kim during his trip to South Korea, while North Korea has indicated that it would be open to dialogue only if Washington drops its demand for complete denuclearization. Now for this discussion, we're joined by Dr. Sanjay Kumar. He's a journalist at the Korea Herald, joins us live from Seoul. Thank you very much, Dr. Sanjay, for joining us again. Good to see you. Now, how do you think this slow progress compared to maybe Japan on the currency swap deal and stall talks on the $350 billion investment package will affect South Korea's relationship with the United States?
Asuma, it is already affecting the South Korea-US relations, and the recent detention incident added further to it. But if you see the slow process of South Korean perspective, it is very understandable because the Korean investors and companies, they still are not clear. They do not have clarity on how these tariffs product-wise is going to be imposed and how this $350 billion is going to be used by both the parties. So the common sentiment here in South Korea is that if this $350 billion is only going to be used unilaterally from the US side, then how it is going to help the companies and how it is going to serve South Korean interests. So in that case, where is the case of negotiation? It would be a one-sided approach. So because of that, the South Korean government is very cautious in its approach, and they are trying to negotiate from different angles in a very comprehensive way, and as well as the specific sides of all the products and product-wise tariff is under negotiation. And from South Korean government perspective, the amount is not small, it's a huge amount. And President Lee Jae-myung recently has reiterated also that, just using that kind of amount and just if it is used unilaterally in the way the fashion it has been demanded, then it may bring Korea into IMF crisis-like situation. So that is why it is very critical for South Korea to review it well and then sign any agreement. And that is why it is likely that it is going to take more time and not like Japan. Yeah.
How do you think President Trump's repeated demands for South Korea to shoulder more military costs will influence domestic opinion in South Korea, especially in light of the proposed defense budget increase?
There is a strong backlash here, because South Korea already had been spending a lot. 28,500 US troops had been stationed here. It's not like a news story. Everybody is aware. So that is why there is a strong backlash here that why we have to shoulder more when we are already spending a huge amount in security. And then yes, after yesterday, when it is announced that South Korea is going to invest like more 8.2% more in defense, that is like from South Korean perspective, that looks enough. So anything if it is added, that would like add fuel to the fire when it comes to sentiments. And that is why it should not be forgotten that many here in Korea, especially the civil societies and the Democratic Party leaders and many people here, and especially the young generation too, they are not very supportive to expansion of defense budget. And also they do say that when it is compared to North Korea, it's already like 1.4 times of the complete of their entire GDP. I mean, the North Korea's GDP, and three axis strategic defense channels are already in place in Korea. So why to expand more? Why to spend more? And the sentiment here is that rather than just expanding and increasing the military expenses, why not we go for more self-reliable capability in defense? So this is the common sentiment here, and that is why, of course, there is a backlash against Trump when it comes to security expenses.
Right, and with this increase in defense spending and discussions around security measure, how do you think South Korea's role is in regional security, particularly concerning North Korea and China? Will it evolve under this new agreement with the U.S.?
Well, from South Korean perspective, it is really important. And if you ask me, frankly, the East Asian regional dynamics and regional security dynamics, including the East Asia, then of course, after North Korea, Russia, and China trio, it has sent very strong signals in the entire Northeast region to have some alternative. And South Korea, Taiwan, US, these countries are trying to come up together. Although these Japan is also there for like in trilateral cooperation, but Taiwan and recently Philippines is also voicing concerns against China. And when you see all these South China, if you mix all those geopolitical and geo security, like political security, these aspects together, then it raises concerns in South Korea and many in Northeast Asia, that there has to be some kind of security setup and security mechanism to deal with the growing North Korea, Russia, China, this trio. So in order to counter that, of course, because Indo-Pacific, Quad, these all security strategies have not materialized so far because of different geopolitical and geo-economic reasons. But the observers here and people here are very observant on this matter, and they don't want to give any leverage to this growing Russia, China, North Korea agreements. And the tone of China also is getting softened when it comes to denuclearization of North Korea. Russia, North Korea already have signed agreement. They are also going, hand to hand. So when you mix all these, it raises concerns in South Korea as well.
Right, and last but not least, bringing North Korean leader Kim Jong-un in this picture, how likely is that President Trump will engage in talks with leader Kim during his visit to South Korea?
See, Azuma, Trump would like to engage Kim Jong-un on a lighter mode, because the signal that has been sent from North Korea is very loud and clear that they are not ready to take part in any talks on some kind of with some conditions. So any dialogue will not be on any condition. I mean, it is well known that those conditions are UN sanctions and the denuclearization and the so-called sovereignty, they call it. That is why any kind of engagement from Trump's perspective is going to be lighter. It should be on lighter mode. But from South Korean perspective, if you bring the government, the current government wants to somehow engage North Korea, no matter it is lighter or it is or harder mode. So they want to engage somehow. But the problem is that North Koreans are not interested to talk to South Korea. They only want US to be the counterpart. So Trump, if he shows some interest, further interest, without any further preconditions, then I'm sure Kim Jong-un would like to meet. This is how I see. But in that case, there will be a win-win for Trump and Kim both. But win-win in case of personal diplomacy, not on ground. Nothing will be achieved on ground because it will be on a precondition basis. And you know, like what North Korea wants. Exactly.
Yes, the denuclear. Yes, thank you very much, Dr. Sanjay, for joining us and sharing that.